The Canadian economy is walking on a tightrope. That's according to a new report from Deloitte, which suggests our country's GDP shrank by 1.1% last quarter as U.S. President Donald Trump and his tariffs sent shockwaves through the economy. Here to break down what this all means for you is Deloitte's chief economist, Desjardins. Thank you for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me, Melanie.
So let's break down the numbers. What does it really mean? A 1.1 decrease in GDP. What really, truly does that mean for our picture here?
Well, we started the year with some pretty good momentum, but that has stalled out. I guess not a big surprise given all of the uncertainty that both Canadian consumers and businesses are dealing with. So we have seen a loss of momentum. And we do think that, at least in the near term, we're probably going to remain in the doldrums as we continue to have these pressures. And Canadians are lost a lot of confidence in terms of will they be able to continue to have a job? And businesses are saying, well, not really a great time to invest for me. I need to understand where my demand is coming from.
Don, you say near term because I would assume that longer term forecast is really hard to get any clarity on.
You're absolutely right. I guess our baseline is this, is we think that we will be able to maintain those carve-outs in terms of our being compliant with our trade agreement with the U.S. And because of those carve-outs, it will actually help insulate some of our goods from the U.S. tariffs. At the end of last year, about 40% of companies, went through all of the paperwork to get their exports compliant with the agreement. It can be up to 90%. So we're going to continue, we think, to see companies move along that path. And so for those companies, it will be the case that we will see some increased demand for exports. But I have to say, we think about what's happening in the U.S. right now. All of that uncertainty is also taking a toll on their economy. And we've seen measures of confidence and activity also decline there. So it's not going to be a huge surge, I don't think, even if companies do become compliant with our trade agreement. But it will set the stage for stronger growth as we exit this year and into 2026.
Okay, Don, what about the dreaded R word, recession? Should people be worried about this?
Well, we do have in the forecast back-to-back negative quarters of GDP output. Now, we don't have a deep decline in output, and the job losses we do have would be considered mild during a deep recession. So I would say, yes, it is the case that we're going to see very sluggish economic performance. We're likely to see some job losses, and those losses will probably come in some of those industries where we are going to see or continue to see those tariffs being in effect.
We have a newly re-elected Prime Minister, Mark Carney, and he's got a lot of work to do as Prime Minister in this current climate. How will the numbers be impacted on how the government responds, or what could you see?
Well, we have embedded in our forecast some government support, and that support coming for industries that are being very significantly impacted by the tariffs to date, as well as some support for workers who are either furloughed or who do lose their jobs because of what's going on with our largest trading partner. Now, in terms of other stimulus, we're just going to have to wait and see when we do see the budget, what exactly, when and what the government is going to put in place really to help our economy move from one that isn't all that productive, as we all know, to something that will be stronger, whether we see supports for the elimination of interprovincial trade barriers, infrastructure spending. So there's a lot that could be in the pipeline, and we're just going to have to watch and see.
That's the key there. I think there's a lot of gray zone. We have to wait and see how this all plays out. Desjardins with Deloitte Canada. I appreciate you taking the time with us today. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie.